Hey YouTube, it's Raphael here from Raphael Productions. I'm going to show you how to delay actions using Swift. So simply press this button, say Start Actions. There'll be some delay before the labels start changing. So it says hello, second label, then the third label will change, and then this scale slider pops up, and if we were to play around, we can also make it go big or small depending on the value of the slider. So this is going to be showing you how to control the slider and also how to delay actions. So let's begin. So let's load up Xcode. Let's go ahead and create a new Xcode project. Want a single view application? We're going to click next. Save up the project name. Those delays. Make sure language is set to Swift and click next. Save it wherever we want to save it, so I'll save it in my coding workspace where I always save my projects. Obviously, you can set your device orientation to any. I'm going to do portrait just like I did in the beginning of the video, just so things are easier. Let's go to main.storyboard and let's set up our UI, user interface. Head over to our assistant editor, get rid of this left panel, and let's drag in 3 labels. You can make whatever you want them to say. I'm just gonna make it say label X. We're changing what the label says in the code anyway, so it doesn't really matter what you put in here. Alright, so I can resize that so everything fits. Let's copy and paste this 3 times now. So as I said before, we want this to be delayed, so when we click the button, the labels will change. So before we add it, let's add a button as well. Dragging the button. This will be activate fade. So make it say activate fade. And then let's drag in a slider. So in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to delay actions and also how to control the slider. So basically, 2 tutorials in one. I was thinking of making the slider as a separate video, but I can also show it to you while I'm making the actions get delayed. So let's basically 2 tutorials in one. Let's copy and paste one more label. This is the one that we will have for when the value changes. Okay, so now that we have got our stuff set up, let's drag. So let's center, add some space, and control click and drag for each one. So for this one, I'm gonna call this a button. Nah, let's call it button 1. Outlet UI is strong. Click connect. We're also gonna do an action. So control click and drag again for that same button. Connection is action this time. Name of it will be delay action. Touch up sender, touch up inside, and any. Click connect. Okay, and then we're gonna do for 3 labels. Let's do @IB outlet var label 1 colon UI label. Add an exclamation mark at the end. We're gonna copy and paste that 3 times. Then actually no, do it 4 times for the value change. Okay, so we will link those 4 later. IB outlet var. Okay, we need to make sure we have capitalized O. So it will give you an error if you do not capitalize these. So now we can link these labels up. So label 1, label 2, label 3, and then label 4. So Swift is case sensitive. If you have like one letter that is wrong, so say I made it lowercase, it will throw you an error, just like it did earlier. So make sure you got the cap. If it doesn't work, make sure you got the capital letters correctly. Okay, let's do one more thing, but this time for the slider. So @IB outlet var slider show colon UI slider. Again, and that with an exclamation mark, and we're gonna click this circle and drag it right here. Okay. Then also for the slider, we want another IB action, so control click and drag that into the assistant editor. This is the last one we need to link, by the way. I know there's a lot of stuff we linked earlier, but this is the last one because we've already covered the rest of it. So action, This time, make sure its value changed instead of touch up inside, or else it will crash the application. And for this, you can call this slider bar 1. Connect that, and since we've got all stuff linked up, we can now go back to the regular editor. But before we go to our actual Swift file, go to the minimum value, set it to 15. And the maximum value will probably be around 70. So the lowest value will be 15, and the biggest the text can be around 70. So go back to view controller.swift or whatever you named the Swift file. This slider bar, which you're going to space out. But before we code what the slider bar is going to change, let's first create some functions. So this will be an Objective-C function to do @OBGC, and this will be func, and we'll say first method. We only need 3 because, as I said last time, we're showing the fourth label will show along with the slider, so only 3 methods. So first method, second method. All right. Now for the view did load, we're gonna enter some code here. So we're gonna first hide the 3 labels and also hide in the slider bar. That will only show at the third method when the rest have already been shown. So let's go with label 1. It's gonna do .isHidden. Now unlike Objective-C, this Swift uses false and true instead of yes and no. So type in false instead. If you're used to Objective-C, this might take a while to get used to. For me, it certainly did. Now copy and paste that 4 times. This is going to be for the 4 labels. And the last one will be, so copy and paste this. This will be for slider show. Obviously, the first one is going to be label 1 is hidden equals true. Okay, so these labels are going to be hidden once we click the button, which last time we showed how to change the color. And if you want to change the color instead, then just do label 1 dot text color, and this will be equal UI color dot green. Now, since we're specifically showing how to delay actions, you can put whatever code you wish here. I'm just gonna make sure my label 1 it starts to hide after. So I'm just gonna get rid of this. For that example, I did show a change color, but you can do that if you wish to. But for this, I'm just gonna make it hidden instead. All right, then for the second one, we're gonna hide the second label and third label. Lastly, the label 4 will have a text of, let's say, label 4 the text equals. Now 2 speech marks, and then we can put whatever we want it to say. So the string will say value is ... So doesn't matter what you put in here because this will be manipulated by the delay action. No, not delay action. The slider bar. And now for the actually running the methods, you're gonna go to delay action, and we're gonna do perform. So do perform #selector. Now in this Objective-C method, which just says OBGC, you do self dot first method, and then 1 close bracket comma with. Then if you remember Objective-C, we'll say nil, and then lastly comma after delay. So if you want it to be like, I'll do mine 3 seconds because last time I did 5 seconds. But mess around with it to your liking, okay? So copy and paste this for all 3 methods. So this will be 6 seconds. So each 3 seconds the methods will start running. So replace first method with second method, and then third method. Alright, so we've controlled now the delays. Let's go and actually do the slider. So the slider, if you recall, is what is gonna mess around with the labels. Let's click build and run and see how our app goes so far. It can take a while to run. Okay, build succeeded. Just wait for it. Can take a while to run, so okay, there we go. Let's go to meta store bar just to make sure. Okay, open up the simulator. Let's go to activate fade. Press it. See, label 1 is hidden, label 2 will get hidden, and label 3 will get hidden. And the value change. Now, so far we haven't coded yet the slider bar, so the label hasn't changed yet. But let's go ahead and do that now. So click stop. Go back to viewcontroller.swift and head over to our IB action function slider bar 1 sender :any. Now let's head over and type in var. So we have a variable that can be changed. Let is a constant that cannot be changed. So do slider equals a sender. Now space as what's it called? Question mark UI sliders for the UI slider. So make sure you enter that correctly as well. Next one we're gonna do fonts equals int. Now this is when we tell that it will change depending on the value of the slide. So slide question mark that value, 2 question marks and 0. Next we're gonna do for the text, so var text equals, and then since we called our one font to 2 open speech marks, make sure space here, and then since we're doing a variable, let's do a backslash and 2 brackets in between. So let's do fonts. It has to be whatever you called the second variable, or else it will throw you an error. Also make sure that the letters are capitalized correctly and are not like the F is not like uppercase. It has to be exactly the same. So I recommend you copy and paste it just to make sure. Lastly, we're gonna go with label 4. So our label 4, make sure you're manipulating the correct label, or else if you manipulate one of these labels, they will be hidden and it will not show like the actual value because it's hidden. So make sure you're choosing the correct label. So in my case, that is label 4. Just double check to make sure. But okay, so underneath our third line, I'm gonna space it out and do label 4. So mine was label 4. Dot font equals UI font dot system font. Choose the second one that says off size, and then our one in my case was fonts. Close bracket here, and then actually close another bracket. After that, we're gonna do label 4 dot text equals text. Okay, so once you've gotten if you get like an alert, just click on this, and it will do with fix. Okay, so get rid of the close outer bracket, and this is how your code should look like. Ignore these 3 yellow ones. The only ones you have to worry about are the red ones. These 3 are just warnings, but they're not gonna really crash your app unless sometimes they can crash your application, but not all the time. So in this case, we can just ignore these 3 alerts here. So what? It might seem confusing at first, but let's summarize what we did. So our view.load is the code that happens when we first run our application. So in Objective-C, this will look a bit different. It will say void instead of override func. But is hidden, so they will be not hidden when we first load up. And then once we activate our delay button, so that's what I did earlier when I pressed activate fade, it will fade out the label, so it will say hidden equals true. It's running each method by 3 seconds, so 3, 6, 9. It's going to run each 3 seconds difference. Now this slider bar here, we are going to output that our text is equaling the font, which is manipulated by the slider value. Okay, so now that we have set up the slider bar, we can actually now change the labels. So let's go build and run again. Click play. Should say again build succeeded. Go to simulator, iOS simulator. In my case, I'm using the iPhone XR, so click on activate fade. Okay, then now we click our slider bar. We are manipulating the size, and it's also outputting in the label. So that's how you control the slider, and that's also how you add delays. So thank you very much for watching. If this video helped you out, leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next programming video. Peace out.